Hey everybody, how you doing? Tom Barnes here. Stories from the 78. With the nation's birthday looming this weekend, I thought it'd be appropriate to talk to a U.S. veteran, a veteran that has done great things for other veterans, has written a fantastic new book that has a book launch here in Chicago next Tuesday at Trump Tower. The book launch is 39 different ways to live your life. That's not the actual title. I'll get into that in a second. But I wanted to tell you about the man who has served our country well, and he's got an appropriate name if you're familiar with any kind of pop culture. His last name, at least, is MacLean. Of course, I'm going to have to make that reference. But I'm talking about Gordon Charles MacLean. I welcome now to the 78. Gordon, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fine today. How about yourself?
Doing well. I'm getting ready for the our nation's 250th birthday coming up here in a couple days, and you have that. You have your book launch on the 7th, I believe, right here in Chicago, right?
Absolutely. So I'm based here in Florida, near
Mm-hmm.
Destin, Florida, and so we're going to enjoy the weekend and then fly up on Monday, and then our big event, our book launch, is Tuesday. For some reason, they release books on Tuesday, so that's what we're doing.
Yeah, they used to do a lot of things on Tuesday back in the day. If you remember when you were a kid going to like a record store, Tuesdays were the day that they would have the new albums that would come out. So
Right.
when you were in 1993, when you were in line to get the Nirvana like Bleach album or Nevermind, you were probably going there on a Tuesday at the record store at the mall.
Yeah, I remember that. Funny you mentioned that album because it came out right before I went into the military, and then so I listened to it for like a week, and then it blew up. By the time I got out of basic training, everybody was listening to it, so it was wild. We didn't have music in basic training, obviously.
Oh, that was so is that something that's changed or is that still the case? Is basic training you're kind of caught off from the world, learning the
Yeah, it's basic training is kind of more of a stripping away. So they put a bunch of guys in one little barrack, and everybody's from different places and different backgrounds and everything, different cultures, and they try to strip you down to your bare bones to get you to get along. And so they remove all kinds of distractions. So books, newspapers, music, you know, I'm sure you cannot have a smartphone at all because that leads to everything, right? And so, but they do that for a reason to strip you down to your kind of, your core self and they dress everybody alike. You all get your shaved head and you get a number and you get, call you by your last name. And they do that to kind of mend you and mold you into your basic form so they can rebuild you. And then they spend the next few weeks or months, or depending on what branch of service you're in, rebuilding your military life, your military career from there. So
you
it's
sound
interesting.
it sounds like an intense process. I imagine it is. But my dad was in the Air Force. You were in the Air Force, correct?
Absolutely. And so, yeah, I went in the day after my 18th birthday. I was a little hungover still,
Oh man.
and I needed that discipline at that age. And I've been out of high school. I graduated early in high school because I started early, so I was 17 when I graduated. But at that age, I needed some discipline. I needed some tough love, let's say.
And that's what, so the lessons you learned in the military and the Air Force, and you did some amazing things within the Air Force, and I won't step on that, but that helped you get to the point where you became successful outside of the Air Force. You wrote this book that we are talking about with the launch on the 7th, The Awake Code 39 Rules for a Fully Engaged Life. I imagine a lot of those lessons, or at least the basis of those lessons, started in the military and then throughout your professional life and intertwined everything in between.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I was a average student in high school. I graduated, right? But I wasn't really looking forward to 4 more years of school. I was more into let's make some money now and do what I want to do kind of thing.
Mm.
So when you sign up to the military, everything kind of changes, right? Because you don't
Sure.
get to do anything you want. You get to do what you're told to do. But like I said, it kind of molds you into someone that can be led.
Hmm.
And once you learn how to be led, you learn how to lead other people. And so one of the strongest things that I learned in the military was was how to be led and how to lead others. And so after 6 years and believe me, for me, it was a great place to start my professional life because it taught me a lot about um, the world. It taught me a lot about other people. It taught me a lot about myself. It taught me what I was capable of. When I put my head down and I focused on something, I learned that I could pretty much do anything I needed to do, because you're put in that situation a lot where other people's lives are in your hands, so to speak, whether it's the pilot or your coworkers or whatever. Um, and so you take things pretty serious, right? And it kind of hardens you to a point where you're fully aligned with the mission that you're doing.
And with it being, the nation's birthday coming up, being in the military, the Air Force, knowing what's going on in Iran and all over around the world, how important is it for people to really understand what our military does for us to be able to celebrate something like 250 years of independence?
Well, the saying is that freedom isn't free. And
Right.
so there's a lot of people around the world that sacrifice their time, effort, sometimes their lives to ensure our freedom. And so I've been out now since 1997, almost 30 years. Um, but every time, every Memorial Day, every Veterans Day, every 4th of July, it always brings me back to the same place. It was an honor to serve my country. Um, Different people kind of have different careers in the military, but it all works together as a big machine, and everybody does their part to kind of move the ball forward. And that's something that is a lot bigger than just one person or 10 people or 100 people. The squadron I was in under a wing, was 10,000 people, and those people
Okay.
have to do their thing in order for the mission to succeed. And so when I look back over my time in the military, being part of something bigger than yourself, or even a small company or small firm or what have you, you really see a lot of different perspectives, and that perspective, helped me and shaped me my professional career after the military. And I went into real estate basically right after I got out. So I've been in real estate for almost 30 years now.
And you've been pretty successful at that old real estate thing, haven't you?
So, real estate is cyclical in nature. It goes
Sure.
up and down. The markets change. Every market's different. It's local. So what's going on in Chicago right now is not the same thing that's going on in Destin right now. There are some national trends, obviously, because most folks borrow money and the price of money changes, right? So you pay a little higher interest rate. Sometimes you pay a little lower interest rate sometimes. And so that does kind of affect the market somewhat. But uh, when it comes down to it, for residential, people need a place to live. And so whether you're renting an apartment or you're in a townhome or you're in a state in the country or whatever, wherever you are, you're living somewhere, hopefully, right? So it affects everyone. And then same thing on the commercial side. I spent 10 years in residential, basically buying ugly houses and making them pretty and then reselling them. Okay. 2008 came along.
Oh yeah.
Uh, Real estate didn't, just stop. It fell off a cliff. And so we had to kind of retool and figure out what we were going to do from there. We kind of looked at our skill set and said, hey, we've renovated over 100 houses at this point. We've been a landlord. We've rented some of those houses, so we know how to do property management. And so we were able to kind of shift during the great financial crisis and look for distressed apartment complexes and contact those owners and say, here's what our management style and what we can do for you. And so we did that for 2 or 3 years, and then we ended up buying those same complexes. So as we came out of the great financial crisis, we were apartment landlords, and that was kind of how we, really were successful, because rents kept going up, therefore values kept going up. It's a lot of work. It's easy work, but it's a lot of work, because you're dealing with, let's say a couple hundred families. This is their home. This is where they live. They raise their kids there. Their mom lives there. All these kinds of different things. So you become sort of a financial counselor sometimes, a
I bet.
relationship therapist sometimes, to keep people from killing each other, or, getting mad at each other. And so it's a property management is a very interesting role. Like I said, it's something new every day. And so I think the military, being put in a lot of different situations, really all over the world, kind of primed me for being that landlord that cares, that that wants to take care of, the folks that help pay the bills. That's the tenants. And so we still have some apartments today, but we've kind of moved into more of warehouses and office buildings, more on the commercial side, just because it's basically the same amount of work, but the numbers are bigger, so you get more bang for the bucks, so to
Sure.
speak. Yeah.
And you're, not dealing with as many people who are complaining about their neighbors because they share a common wall.
It's very, very, very true.
I lived in one of those set apartments in Florida, actually, right off of Alafaya Drive and Colonial 50 in Orlando, Florida, right by University of Central Florida. And at the time, it was called Jefferson Commons. It's not called that anymore, but
How long ago was that?
1999.
Okay. Well, if you haven't been to Orlando in 20 years, it is a boom town.
Oh, yeah, no, I've been there since.
Okay. Yeah.
I just don't remember what it's called now, but that whole area has completely changed. And it's funny, I moved into those apartments when they were still being built. So to go back, I just went recently last year to go back and see them a little rough because they were meant for college kids, 20 years of college kids mixed in with some family, but mostly college kids in Central Florida. You can imagine what it looked like after 20 years of college.
Yeah. Beer parties, etc.
Yes.
Yes.
Good times. But yeah, you have to learn how to deal with people because you share a lot of common things, common balconies, even with like how they're all kind of connected at the top, at least at this one. So I'm familiar. And then, went to school and lived in an apartment here in Chicago where you live in a little community where it could be interesting. But it very much, if you're not taught how to be with people, either by the military, by your family, a teacher, a coach, man, oh man, life is going to be pretty tough for you.
Absolutely, and that's kind of what the book, the premise of the book is. It's about really aligning yourself so you can reach your higher purpose, your higher calling. But it takes you through 6 stages to do that, and it's kind of set up in a reverse countdown. So a rocket goes from 10 to 0. We start at 39 and go down to 0, and each rule is part of a stage, and each stage kind of brings you into alignment so you can reach your higher purpose.
So why 39?
So 39 in many cultures is the threshold of a new beginning.
Oh, I did not know that.
And so usually the 40th, if you want to count it, the 40th, which would be rule 0 in our terms in our book, but that's what we call liftoff, and that's where you step across as a changed person, and then you go. Really, it's not the end of the book. It's the beginning of you living awake, and so that's why we have 39.
Oh, very cool. Is there one that you can directly correlate to a certain either a military lesson or an entrepreneurial lesson in real estate or anything else that you've done?
Yeah, so I'll give you one. Rule 14: rest is a weapon. So in the military, we were taught that a tired operator is a dangerous operator, and the civilian world kind of treats rest as a luxury. It's something that you get to enjoy after the work is done, but that's not really the case. The rest is part of the work, because if you're not rested well, you're not deciding well. If you're not deciding well, your outcome is not going to be well at all. And so most people I know in business have this exactly backwards. They work, they burn out. That's not the way to do it. So our philosophy is we use rest as a weapon. It's part of the work, and you can't skip that step.
How do you think we've got here, though? Because I feel like so many people, and I've not been in the military, but a lot of people that I know that I was fortunate to, my dad was in the military, my grandfather, everybody's dad at some point, I feel like either grandfather or father was in the military, but they were all the guys working so hard and not sleeping so much. Like my dad included, like he had 2 jobs most of my life growing up, and he had both successful at a lot of things. As far as I know, he didn't make any huge mistakes because he's still here and he sold his business and he's done well for himself. But
Right.
is that just American culture, the no sleep thing? Like you just get back into the cultural grind that is the workforce, and then people just get that. And maybe it's shifting now with the younger generation, but certainly my generation and above, it's very much work, and then you can party later or relax later.
I think it's also there's a lot more distractions these days than there used to be. And so sometimes you might be doing your work, but you're distracted, so you're not fully focused on what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that tends to lead to a little bit of overstimulation, let's say.
Yeah.
And then so if you don't finish your work, you always feel like you're behind. And if you're behind, you're constantly trying, chasing the, well, I'll just stay up later tonight to finish, or I'll just get up early tomorrow and finish. And all you're doing is sacrificing your sleep, your rest. And that's the problem. If you would sleep more and focus more, sure, there's time for distractions, for fun, for social media, that kind of thing. But put it in its place. You're the one driving. You're not running on, well, let me rephrase. You should not be running on someone else's software. You should be running your own operating system that benefits you and your family and your purpose, not what the world is kind of feeding you, every day, every day, every day.
Don't be a slave to an algorithm.
Absolutely. And there's more than one algorithm. I mean, there could be lots of different. One of our other rules is about vice, and you pick your poison, and it's okay to indulge every once in a while, but if it controls your life and controls your thoughts, then you've got a problem. And
Yeah.
so we discuss that as well, and that's part of alignment, the first stage of the book.
The sleep is interesting because I've talked to many authors on many different subjects, and sleep to always come rest, sleep, not being stimulated by a screen or a loud partner being, like stimulation can come from lots of places, right? But a
Right.
little quiet, a little solitude and rest really, I mean, it can prolong your life. It's proven, right?
It's proven stress can be a killer. Chronic stress all the time with no lapse in activity it's a killer. It could, I don't know the exact medical study, but I bet you it has to do with the heart for most part. But that's the
Yeah.
point. If you want to, live well, you've got to build sleep and rest into your program, and protect it like it was on your schedule. It's a meeting. It's it's something I don't give away freely.
So, if you wouldn't mind me asking, what is your bedtime when you get up?
So I usually work or am up till about midnight,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm up around 7:30, 7:45
Well, that's
in
not
the
bad.
morning. So I usually get my 7+7, sometimes 8. But everybody's schedule is different, obviously, and more often than not, sometimes I'll take a power nap in the afternoon for 30 minutes,
Oh,
like
those are the
from 5
best.
to 5:30 or whatever, and then I'm back off to the races. But it gives me I get a second wind at night for some reason. It might have been because military life kind of teaches you to be able to operate different time zones and whatnot. But I get a second wind at night, and so I kind of use that to my advantage because the phone's not ringing. You have a lot more peace, between like 9 and midnight. That I do some of my best work.
I do too. I love it. Unfortunately, my other job requires me to be at work at 5 a.m. So that sometimes gets in the way of being my true night owl self. But I do know how important it is to sleep because when I get proper sleep, I'm much better. It's kind of the opposite of what you're talking about. I can get a lot done early in the day. At 5 a.m., you can get a lot done,
Sure.
as much as you probably can at 11, you know, because most of the places that you can go would be closed, the grocery stores and whatnot. So you just have time to work or to just gather yourself, get yourself ready,
To
get yourself
focus
prepared.
and to think and to plan and strategize, right? I mean, those are all the things that lead to success.
Absolutely. The book, the launch is the 7th. Where can people buy the book if they want to? Is there a special website you want them to go to or anything like that?
Yeah, so if you go to Amazon.com, we have pre-orders right now. where you can pre-order the book up until the 7th. The 12 a.m. on the 7th, it'll be released on Amazon.com. So just search the Awake Code, paperback, hardback, ebook. I'm working on the audio right now, the audio book, but I'm doing it myself, so it takes a little bit of time. So I hope to have that out in the next few weeks. And if you go to awakecode.com, you'll be taken right to the Eventbrite event page where you can sign up to come join us next Tuesday evening at Trump Tower in Chicago. We're doing the launch party. I'm going to speak a little bit. We've partnered with a charity called K9 for Warriors.
Yeah, I'm familiar with them.
Yeah, so I'm going to give away signed copies of the book and hopefully encourage folks to donate something to K9 for Warriors that evening. And then we're going to have an after party with a 3-time Grammy-nominated jazz pianist, a guy named Eric Lewis, or Elu, is going to come in and do a live performance for us. It should be a great time. It's free to everybody, open bar, past hors d'oeuvres. It's basically a blowout. It's kind of a little bit of a celebration to get to this point, this milestone of the book launch. And then, we're going to go from there to different cities and take it on the road.
Oh, well, congratulations on that. That's wonderful. And it's a great accomplishment in a slew of accomplishments. I mean, just, going into the military and serving your country is a huge accomplishment. And then all the other ones you've had after that. Is there one that stands out over the other? Or is that like asking somebody who their favorite child is?
Well, I've done a few different things. Recently, the last couple of years, my wife and I sold some apartments. She got out of the property management business and wanted to open a jewelry store. So I co-own a jewelry store with her. She does all the diamonds and gold. I specialize in nice watches. And so that's been fun to learn. And we really enjoy it. It's kind of our, it's not a hobby, but it's something that we both really enjoy. And so that's something recently that we've done as well. So commercial real estate, military. I used to be executive chef for a while. The jewelry store.
Executive chef is the one that stands out.
Yeah. So,
Was
if
that
you ever
military?
no, it wasn't the military. It was kind of before a little bit and then a little bit after. But I just like the thrill of being behind the line and, a bunch of hanging tickets and being in the weeds and just fast paced. It's fun to me.
So I imagine you probably watched The Bear on FX or have seen it, or I don't know if you have, but if you haven't, it's all in Chicago. So you're coming here this week, you can get a little taste.
Oh, that sounds great. I might do that.
You should. It's a great show. It's about a family in Chicago, a beef stand. The son goes off to like all these wonderful places to learn how to be like a chef,
Right.
and he has to come home and deal with a lot of family stuff. So I imagine 39 of the tips that you have in the book, The Principles of Living, probably all apply in this show. So do yourself a favor on the airplane, maybe turn on The Bear, and you'll get and you might want to stop at Mr. Beef when you're in town next week. But before
Absolutely.
then, enjoy the 250th birthday of our nation's freedom. Thank you for your service. I've been diving into a lot of our history lately. I just read a documentary about Abraham Lincoln. I'm all in on the Revolutionary War at the moment. So
Nice.
yeah, as I've gotten older, I've been more of a nerd of our nation's history because there have been times where this country almost came apart. So the fact to read about it is, like, especially with Abraham Lincoln and the Civil War and how close so many times it was not good, but then we persevered as we always do and always will do.
As we always do, right?
Absolutely.
As we always do.
So again, thank you for your time and your service, and have a great 4th of July holiday.
You do the same, and thank you so much, Tom. I appreciate you.